The classroom air is heavy, every eye fixed on Hannah. Her hands clutch her notebook, trembling as the teacher's voice cuts like a blade. "Girls like you will never make it." Laughter erupts around her. In that moment, her dream bleeds, but it refuses to die. Hannah walks home from school, the teacher's laughter echoing in her head. Her world is small, second-hand books stacked on a wobbly shelf, hand-me-down shoes that pinch her toes, and a mother who works double shifts just to keep the lights on. The apartment walls are cracked, paint peeling like old skin. Yet when Hannah closes her eyes, she sees glass towers touching the clouds. In the silence of her tiny room, impossible dreams grow louder than her teacher's voice. At school, Hannah could never escape him. Mr. Carter's sharp eyes seemed to follow her every move, waiting for a mistake. Whenever she dared to raise her hand, his response was cold, almost rehearsed. Not good enough. A grade slightly lower than others. He'd call it laziness. An idea shared in class? He'd smirk, dismissing it before she could even finish. To her classmates, it looked like discipline. To Hannah, it felt like slow suffocation. Each word he spoke lodged itself inside her, heavy as stone. She began to second-guess her thoughts, shrinking her voice until silence felt safer. At night, while her mother slept, Hannah replayed his words. "Girls like you will never make it." They weren't just insults anymore. They were becoming chains, wrapping around her spirit, pulling her down. Yet buried under that weight, a tiny spark inside her refused to die. One morning, Hannah gathered every ounce of courage she had. When the teacher asked about future plans, her hand rose slowly, heart pounding in her chest. She spoke with a shaky but determined voice. "I want to start a small business, reselling thrift clothes online." For the first time, her classmates leaned in, curious. But before her words could even settle in the air, Mr. Carter's laugh cut through the room. "A business? You? Stop wasting everyone's time. Girls like you should focus on getting married, not businesses." His sneer twisted into a smile, and instantly the classroom filled with cruel laughter. Hannah's cheeks burned, her throat tightening as if the ground itself was mocking her. But beneath the sting of humiliation, something shifted. Her dream wasn't extinguished, it was ignited. Each laugh, each insult became fuel. That day, Hannah made a silent vow. She would build something so big the world would never laugh again. That night, Hannah closed her bedroom door and let the tears run freely. The echo of her classmates' laughter, the sting of Mr. Carter's sneer, it replayed in her head like a cruel song she couldn't silence. Her pillow caught her sobs, but the ache stayed sharp, cutting deeper with every breath. For a moment, doubt crept in. Maybe he was right. Maybe girls like her weren't meant to dream. But the silence of the night had its own power. She sat up, eyes swollen, and pulled out a worn notebook. Beneath the weak glow of a flickering bulb, she began to sketch. Crooked logos, half-formed names, messy ideas. The pen scratched across the page like sparks on stone. Each mark was defiance, each line a whispered rebellion. While others slept, Hannah created in secret. She wasn't just drawing. She was building her future. What her teacher thought would break her had instead lit an unshakable fire. In that room, with nothing but paper and tears, Hannah made a promise. "One day I'll prove him wrong. And these tears, these very tears, will be the roots of my triumph." The weekend flea market was Hannah's escape, a maze of colors, fabrics, and stories stitched into second-hand clothes. She wandered through the crowded stalls, her fingers brushing over denim jackets and faded dresses, treasures most people overlooked. Around her, voices buzzed, bargains shouted, coins clinking into tired hands. She noticed a group of young girls huddled near a rack. Their eyes sparkled at a sequined dress, but their wallets told a harsher truth. They laughed it off, walking away empty-handed, but Hannah felt the sting in their silence. She knew that look. It was the same longing she had felt countless times. And then, like lightning, it struck. What if she could make these clothes affordable, styled, and reachable for people like them? What if her late-night sketches and scribbled names weren't just dreams, but blueprints? Standing in that noisy flea market, Hannah felt something shift inside her. For the first time, her passion for thrift finds wasn't just a hobby, it was a vision. A way to turn second chances into first opportunities. This wasn't just about fashion anymore. It was about dignity, about giving people the chance to feel seen. That moment became her turning point, the spark she had been waiting for. Hannah returned home from the flea market with her heart pounding and her mind racing. That spark had turned into resolve. She rummaged through a small pile of thrift clothes she had collected over the years, pieces others had discarded, but she had always seen beauty in. With no money for equipment, she borrowed her mum's old phone, its screen cracked and its camera blurry. Still, it was enough. She cleared a corner of her room, draping a white bedsheet against the wall. Using books stacked on a chair for balance, she snapped picture after picture, styling outfits with nothing but her imagination. No fancy filters, no professional lighting, just raw creativity. Late that night, with shaky hands, she uploaded her first posts online. Then she waited. The hours stretched, doubts whispering again, no one will care. But just past midnight, a notification buzzed. Someone had bought a simple denim jacket for a few dollars. It wasn't about the money. It was about proof. Proof that her ideas had value, that her teacher's voice was wrong. Sitting in the glow of that old phone, Hannah smiled through tears. To the world, it was a small sale. To her, it was the first crack in her chains. Days blurred into nights and nights into mornings. Hannah's life became a rhythm of sacrifice. At school, she forced herself to focus through heavy eyelids. After classes, she rushed to a part-time job at a local cafe, her hands smelling of coffee beans and dishwater. And when most of her classmates headed out to parties or study groups, Hannah hurried back to her tiny room, her sanctuary, her factory, her battlefield. Stacks of thrift clothes covered the floor, waiting to be photographed, folded, packaged. She cut labels with scissors dulled from overuse, wrapped orders in recycled paper, and scribbled thank you notes with cramped handwriting. The clock often crept past midnight, but she whispered to herself, one more order, one more step. Her phone buzzed with each new sale, small amounts adding up slowly. To outsiders, it was nothing remarkable. But to Hannah, every order was a voice louder than Mr. Carter's mockery. His laughter still echoed in her memory, but it no longer defined her. Each package sealed was another nail in the coffin of his doubt. The world saw a struggling girl hustling in silence. Hannah knew the truth. She was building an empire, one sleepless night at a time. It happened on an ordinary afternoon. Hannah was taping up a small parcel when her phone buzzed non-stop. Notification after notification flooding her screen. At first she thought it was a mistake, but then she saw it. A well-known local blogger had featured her thrift store, praising her creativity and vision. Almost instantly, her inbox exploded with messages. New followers, comments filled with excitement, orders stacking faster than she could process them. Clothes she once struggled to sell were now selling out in minutes. The tiny business she had built in secret was suddenly in the spotlight. She sat on the floor, phone in hand, tears welling up. But they weren't tears of exhaustion this time. They were tears of validation. For the first time, people weren't laughing at her ideas. They were celebrating them. Each kind comment felt like a balm on old wounds, each order like a voice whispering, "You matter. Your ideas matter." Hannah pressed her palms to her face, smiling through the tears. It wasn't the money that moved her. It was the feeling of finally being seen, of being valued for the very dreams her teacher once tried to crush. This was only the beginning. The thrill of her first real success hadn't faded when the unexpected knock came at the classroom door. Hannah's stomach twisted. She followed the principal down the silent hallway, each step echoing like a warning. The office felt cold, suffocating, the walls closing in. The principal's expression was stern, eyes unreadable. And then it came. "Mr. Carter has reported you for neglecting your studies to chase these online shops. This behavior is unacceptable." Heat rushed to Hannah's cheeks. Her first public humiliation had been in a classroom, but now it was official, sanctioned, unavoidable. Every sneer, every mocking laugh from Mr. Carter surged back, heavier, sharper. Her chest ached as the principal lectured on priorities, responsibility, and proper focus. Hannah's mind screamed, "I'm working. I'm creating. I'm building something real," and yet beneath the sting, a stubborn spark remained. The world could impose rules, judgments, even shame, but it could not erase her vision. Clenching her fists, she whispered to herself, "This is not the end. It will never be the end." Hannah sat at the kitchen table, her mother's weary face illuminated by the dim evening light. Plates clinked softly as her mother sighed, eyes full of worry and exhaustion. "Hannah, maybe you should focus on school," she urged gently. "These online shops, they're distracting you from what really matters." For a moment the words landed like stones in her chest. Doubt crept in. Maybe her mother was right. Maybe she was chasing a foolish dream. The room was silent except for the ticking clock, each second echoing louder than her heartbeat. Hannah's eyes drifted to her notebook lying on the counter, filled with sketches, business names and dreams that refused to fit inside the cramped apartment. She remembered the sneers, the laughter, Mr. Carter's words still lodged deep in her mind. "Girls like you will never make it." Then, a new voice broke through the fear, a whisper of defiance she had carried since that first night of secret sketches. "Don't let him decide your life." The weight of hesitation lifted slightly, replaced by determination. That night, Hannah made her choice. She would take the harder road, the one filled with sacrifices, sleepless nights, and uncertainty. But it was hers. And she would chase her dream, no matter the cost. Hannah woke before sunrise, the soft light spilling through her cracked window, and opened her laptop. The world outside still slept, but she was wide awake, determined to turn her dream into reality. She devoured free YouTube tutorials on digital marketing, learning about social media strategies, product photography, and customer engagement. Every new skill felt like another tool in her hands, a weapon against the doubts that had haunted her for years. Orders began to multiply, her once small thrift store gaining momentum with each passing week. She stayed up late into the night, packaging shipments, responding to messages, and experimenting with new ideas. Slowly, her small corner of the internet began to bloom, her products reaching places she had only imagined. Within a year, Hannah secured collaborations with international suppliers, her brand expanding far beyond the limits of her small town. Every box sent overseas, every customer review praising her creativity, felt like a quiet victory over Mr. Carter's sneers. Her business wasn't just growing, it was thriving, a living testament that talent and determination could outlast ridicule. The girl once mocked in class had transformed her setbacks into momentum, and the voice that once chained her now echoed as a distant memory, powerless against her rise. The lights of the grand auditorium dazzled as Hannah stepped onto the stage. Flashbulbs popped, capturing the moment that once seemed impossible. A girl from a cramped apartment in a small town, standing before the world as a global icon. The audience erupted in applause, a thunderous roar that carried through the room, echoing the journey of every sleepless night, every tear, every whispered vow she had made to herself. She held the award in her hands, the weight of it grounding her even as her heart soared. This was more than recognition. It was vindication. The girl who had been shamed, dismissed, and mocked had created a multi-million-dollar fashion empire that now inspired millions worldwide. In the crowd, Mr. Carter sat quietly, eyes fixed on the young woman he had once doubted. There was no sneer now, no laughter, only the undeniable truth of her success. Hannah smiled, not with bitterness but with grace. Every hardship, every setback had been a stepping stone. She raised the award, not just for herself but for anyone who had been underestimated, mocked, or dismissed. The world saw an icon. She felt the culmination of courage, persistence, and unshakable belief in her own vision. Her journey had become a beacon, a reminder that triumph could rise from humiliation. Hannah stands backstage, the applause fading like a distant storm. The award still warms her hands, but it's not the metal that matters. It's the journey it represents. Every sneer, every mocking laugh, every word meant to diminish her had fueled a fire that refused to die. One cruel sentence in a crowded classroom had sparked a flame that, through years of sleepless nights and sacrifice, became a blazing testament to resilience. She closes her eyes, remembering the tears she hid, the early mornings she rose before the world, the moments she almost surrendered. And then she smiles, softly but with certainty. Your pain can be your power. The words hang in the quiet backstage air, heavy and undeniable. Hannah's story isn't hers alone. It belongs to anyone dismissed, underestimated, or mocked. Every setback can be a stepping stone, every obstacle a secret opportunity. Be someone's fire or let their fire fuel you. If this story ignited something inside you, hit subscribe. Your story is waiting to rise and the world is ready to see it.